Hey guys, Drifter here. Today I want to talk about xDefiant, which just finished its closed beta, and I was a developer on this for about a year. Well, I should say consultant, that's a more accurate term, but they pulled me and Ace and some other people in to do some consulting on this game to try to make it as good as possible. So it's been kind of a journey to see it go from that earliest of pre-alphas, barely loads, to this closed beta, which isn't even a finished product in and of itself. We'll talk about that in the beginning of the video. The middle part of the video is going to be the good things that I like about it, and the last part of the video is going to be the bad things where I think they need some improvement. The gameplay today is not mine. My hands are still not in a great condition, so it's J-Hub's gameplay. My gameplay was not very impressive, going 1-for-1 all the time. But taking a step back to about 2, maybe 3 years ago, Ubisoft hired me to be a consultant on an upcoming FPS project that would ultimately become xDefiant. So for about a year, I would join the dev team, play their builds, offer my opinion on it, check out the maps, talk about the flank routes, the guns, the balance, the overall design goals and focus, abilities. Just I had a little hand in everything, but not a direct role, as I guess that's how consulting works. And it's been a really amazing journey for me to watch this game go from a literally barely functional pre-alpha playtest environment where there's missing assets and wonky netcode and difficult load-ins and frequent reboots and just some of the weirdest stuff I've ever experienced in gaming, all the way to a not finished product in the closed beta, but a still more polished one. It's impressive to me now, having that perspective of having working there, that developers have to have a vision in mind, and even in their playtest, when things are fundamentally broken and wonky, they have to mentally adjust and say that is going to be fixed later, and when it is, our game will play like this. So watching that journey has been really fun. I was also just really glad to see it to be moderately popular. Did pretty well on Twitch. Ranked was really popular. A lot of the old school CoD guys popped over and started playing, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, but let's talk about what I liked about xDefiant, or at least of the closed beta. Number one, I really like the map design, and I especially love the map aesthetics. Almost every, I think it might be 1 or 2 exceptions, but almost every map in this game is very bright. It's very colorful. The areas are very distinct, which is great for making callouts. It's great for visual clarity and spotting enemies against the background, and it's just visually stimulating. I'm a guy with limited color vision, so bright, punchy color maps like, say, Black Ops 2 and 3 have always appealed to me, and I was really happy to see that in the final build of xDefiant. I didn't get quite as good a vibe for that when I was doing my consulting, because there was just like big yellow walls of asset missing and stuff like that everywhere. So that's cool to see. And I think that most of the maps have good flank routes. They have good flow. It makes sense. A lot of the developers are former CoD guys, so it does have a CoD-esque flow. And I was just really happy with the way the maps turned out. The second thing I liked about the game, and this is what I think most streamers and content creators liked by far the best, was that the gun design, or I should say the gunplay, feels really solid. I'm still thinking like I'm consulting on this. The end result of the guns is they do appear to be hit scan, which means no weird server loading the bullets and travel time. If you shoot somebody in the head, they just die. The guns have low recoil. They have pretty good handling overall. The game greatly rewards headshots. Seems like you drop people much faster by shooting them in the head, which is something that I asked for because I felt that gunplay should be rewarded. And I really think that gunplay is rewarded in xDefiant. I think that's one of the reasons that a lot of the old school CoD streamers popped on and enjoyed it so much, is because they got to run around, and as long as they can aim and shoot people, would perform pretty well, even above and beyond some of the abilities, which are not always super fun. We'll talk about that later. And I think a lot of the old school guys kind of got like a nostalgic, like early CoD vibe from the gunplay. And I think that the guns themselves also feel fun in this. They all feel pretty distinct, even if they are all pretty high caliber, if they all drop you in headshots pretty quick, even if there's some overarching basics in the game. The guns are quite distinct. I watched some people run around with the marksman rifles trying to go for headshots only. There were plenty of people sniping. I saw some dude cheese the absolute devil out of Staycation with a shotgun. I thought that was hilarious, and it was just good to see people gravitating towards different weapons and being able to use them. That's a good sign of a good first-person shooter. And finally, including ranked mode looked fun. So the lead developer, Mark Rubin, has promised no skill-based matchmaking in casual lobbies, but ranked will, of course, have very strict elo-based matching, which is what ranked is for. I think that's a good idea. I watched a lot of people playing ranked, and I think the game has promise. I was overall just very happy to see that most people seem to be liking it, especially since I spent some time working on it, but no video is complete without offering some opinions about the bad stuff. And the number one bad thing that I think people are going to complain about is the abilities and their current lack of balance in the beta, especially the healer, the person that can heal themselves, throw the heal on the ground, the Omega heal. That was used and abused by more streamers, by more high-level players than anybody else, because at least in this beta, compared to the other abilities, if you're a high-skill player and you can aim and hit headshots and kill people really quickly, this kind of effectively gives you double or triple health as long as you have good timing. It's very difficult to kill a person in this situation, so there's way too much healing going on. Some of the abilities are strong, some of them are not particularly well balanced, some of them I didn't even quite understand their mechanics even though I helped make them. And that kind of leads me into the last part of the bad, and it all kind of ties together, it's all related, is that I don't think casual games do very well with abilities. You can look at Call of Duties for the most part, the ones that have had abilities baked into the characters, with the exceptions of Black Ops 3, did not do very well because using these abilities tactically to win games and stuff like that does not mesh well with the casual environment of I just want to get a bunch of kills and run around and blow stuff up and have fun COD style. So there's a mismatch there. I think people maybe casually would have enjoyed the game more just as a run around and shoot, but competitively speaking, the abilities make a lot of sense. Competitively speaking, if you're going to run this in a 4v4 with good players that are serious about it, the gameplay is going to be a little bit slower because you can get dropped pretty quick, and the abilities are going to be more important. It would be Valorant-esque in that reward that, yeah, if you get headshots, that's great, but you still need to not get trapped in other people's abilities, which leads to my final opinion of I think this game is kind of about to have the same problem that Call of Duty does. It has to choose if it wants to be casual or if it wants to be competitive. And the stronger abilities work better in competitive, the weaker abilities work better in casual. My personal peasant opinion on this, knowing no real marketing research or anything like that, I would lean a little bit more toward competitive with xDefiant. I feel like if the abilities have already had a lot of work, they're going to be in the game, they're going to be used. Instead of just weakening them, I feel like making competitive play the focus of the game would be better because it maintains the work that's already been done. You don't have to gut or nerf or really rework a whole bunch of stuff. And I genuinely think that there's lots of casual games out there, so having a very casual game for people to run around and stomp in probably won't have the same longevity as a competitive focus game, a ranked one, like say how what Rainbow Six turned into, and I think that's what Ubisoft wants with this. So there's that sort of dynamic as well. I am no longer working on this game, so my opinions on such topics do not matter. And finally, at the end, I'm just really proud to see how it shaped up, going from, you know, missing assets to this much better, I want to say final product, it's not, much better looking product. And what I really hope is that it's not a splash in the pan. There's a lot of games that come out, they're really hot for 2 weeks, then they're dead. I don't want to see that with xDefiant. I really don't want to see that with any game. I don't think Ubisoft wants to see that. Every game company in the world wants their game to have 2 or 3 years worth of legs, and I kind of hope that xDefiant does, and I think it's honestly on a really good path to do that. We've got good maps, we've got good guns, and we got a good ranked mode. That's really the most important 3 ingredients for a shooter. The rest of it can be patched and balanced and worked on before final release, and I just kind of hope that happens. Guys, that is all for this video today. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.